Okay, the West is specifically America, not Europe, is on the verge of a Leninist style revolution. And the reason I am saying that is because Americans are armed and Europeans, Canadians are unarmed. Europe and Canada, particularly Europe, they have programs where they redistribute scarcer output and scarcer imports from the middle class to the poor. So they make the middle class less prosperous in order to disallow revolutions, food shortage revolutions, or riots from the poor. Now, what is poor nowadays, and that is the bottom 50% of the Westerners, they can be classified as poor, meaning that they just can afford food and housing. That's all they can. They cannot afford basic food and housing. They cannot afford anything more. So Europe and Canada have learned how to prolong these kind of revolutions, and you can see that. Whereas America is different. America does not have this culture of making the middle class poorer in order to transfer scarcer output to the bottom 50%. Basically, in America is a commercial union. You go there to get rich, you go there to live well, and that's all it is. So you take care of your own self, including your own safety. You carry weaponry and you defend yourself and your family and or your community. And that is the problem, the difference between America and the rest of the West. We are experiencing now in America a shortage of food and housing for the bottom 50%. Because we had Obama inflation out of control, transfer to Trump one inflation out of control, transfer to Biden inflation out of control, transfer to Trump two inflation out of control. So the bottom 50% is experiencing food shortages and housing shortages. And they are close to exploding towards a Leninist style revolution or Bolshevik style revolution, because the situation of the top 10% is very similar to the situation of the Russian Empire, of St. Petersburg's and Muscovite elites prior to the revolution, where basically they even invented the concept of Potemkin village, meaning that we fantasize this world where everyone is living okay, is happy, and nothing else matters. So the top 10% in the United States of America is living in this kind of imaginary fantasy, a solipsistic fantasy of their own making, when they control the stock market, bond market via high-frequency trading, whereas the supply chains have already broken down. We can see in the same way you had the Bolshevik associations leading to the 1917 revolution in the Russian Empire. It's very similar when we have Mamdani in New York, who is a Leninist, on the verge of winning, and he is going to win. Very likely. And this shows that there is food shortages. There is food shortage. There is housing shortage for the bottom 50%. They cannot afford food and housing, period. And they are heavily armed. So whereas in Canada and in Europe, The bottom 50% cannot do armed riots. In the United States of America, they can do armed riots. And they will do armed riots. As Chinese trade embargo works itself into the supply chains, the components of the machineries required to produce food, food shortages will expand, will deepen. There will be more mamdani coming around, calling for full government control of means of production in government-owned grocery stores, which is the normal, popular way of responding to these kind of shortages. Basically, Mamdan is a small Lenin, and more Lenins will appear because of these shortages, because the elites are in a Potemkin village solipsistic fantasy of their own making via high-frequency trading, which controls the financial system, which has caused the breakdown of supply chains in cooperation with China, Chinese trade embargo. So the top 10% is de facto cooperating with China. De facto. And this has been proven over and over and over. So the United States is close to a Leninist armed revolution from the bottom 50%. So, and again, to finish this up in a very joyous way, everything is bad. Everything will get worse. No light at the end of the tunnel, and no hope. The worst is yet to come. And you have a fantastic, fantastic Sunday. Have it.